My name is Maria Lamon. I'm the owner of the Music Academy for Special Learners and the creator of Visual Music Concepts.
Now, and starting with the special learners, I guess, what was your motivation for starting such an academy?
My motivation actually stems back, going back to my son, when he was diagnosed with a learning disability when he was in third grade, which motivated me to go back to school after learning how some kids learn outside the box, motivated me to go back for my master's in special education. When I was doing my student teaching over at a school called Developmental Disabilities Institute, which is a chain of schools for children with disabilities, I noticed the connection of kids with music and autism. Just there, it got into their window. They gravitated towards anything with music. So that's what kind of gave me the thought of, music and piano is all sequence and patterns, and so many of these kids thrive on sequence and patterns that my thought was, I would love to start something that these kids could engage in. We have music therapy at the studio, which is great. It works on specific goals with the kids. But my idea was to get something that these kids could enjoy the pleasure of actually making the music. So that's what motivated me to create a program, and I created it based on how a lot of the kids on the spectrum learn academically, utilizing ABA and discrete trials, and made it more of a visual and auditory approach to teaching music, which is the Visual Music Concepts program.
Okay.
And then, I did a little research on my own. Back then, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, a lot of the research I found was not so much in the States, but I found a lot of research in Europe, which backed up how music and teaching them keyboard works on a lot of the areas that a lot of these kids deficit in, which is the fine motor skills, the eye and hand coordination, the language, the eye contact. So within the music program I created, we work on all those areas that they deficit. But on the positive note, it works on something and works on an area which these kids have that positive impact, which is the music. So my thing was, why not? With the music, you're giving them something positive. You're giving something they feel that sense of accomplishment with, but you're also working on the backside. You're working on things that they the areas that they do deficit in, which is their fine motor skills, their eye and hand coordination, the socialization, the language. So it just turned into a, I did it more for fun at first, just to give these kids another opportunity, and it really has flourished into something that the kids benefit from.
Now, I mean, when Jonah was out there, I noticed him, picking it up, really quickly through your method. And I was wondering if you could give a comparison, because you wouldn't necessarily call the visual music concepts, that's what is correct. I'm saying it correctly. You wouldn't necessarily call that music therapy, it seems, right?
It's not. Music therapy is more of an unstructured environment where the music therapist works on specific goals, whether it be socialization, language, receptive language, spontaneous language, through musical activities and games.
Okay.
Where Visual Music Concepts is more of a hands-on approach to teaching them how to play the instrument.
Okay.
Which you don't necessarily get in music therapy. Both of them are great. I mean, I have some kids that thrive in music therapy that maybe can't sit through a lesson. Okay. And then I have, on the Visual Music Concepts, it's more instructional. So, but we do use, the little music therapy approach through the program. But it's more of an instructional based program that the kids thrive on. Just give an example. About a year ago, I incorporated Visual Music Concepts into a speech and hearing center in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Their interest, the parents' interest there was, we want a music program. They didn't want music therapy. They wanted something hands-on for the kids that they can engage with. So what I did was set up a music room for them. And when the kids come daily to receive their OTs, their ABA, their speech and language sessions, the therapists take them down once a day to the music room where they're learning how to play keyboard. But what's great about it is there's so many different aspects of Visual Music Concepts where the the speech pathologist can reach some of their goals as a speech pathologist through something motivational, which is the music program.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, the young man that played the saxophone?
Yes.
Yes, he seems, from speaking to his mother, you know, it seems like he's come a long way through your program. I mean, you started this program how many years ago?
I started it in, I opened up the academy in '08, and I started it in '07. I started out of a house. I had 1 or 2 students just to kind of tap into it to see how it would go. And then what happened was I had done a resource fair for children with, it was a resource fair for autism, open to the public. I went there with my whole program, and a couple weeks later I got a call from a research scientist at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center who wanted to meet with me, and I met with him, and his first words were, "Do you realize what you started?" So his view of it, and in my music book and on my website, there is a nice write-up from him where he, endorses what I do, but he was explained to me the way that vision music concept is used and the approach. It taps into that area of language in the brain where when you're teaching a child music, it's considered another language, and your brain accepts it in the area of teaching another language, which is where a lot of the kids' language is. And when you stimulate, and I know they have done studies where they feel the language is there. It's a matter of sparking that area of the brain where to tap into it so the language comes out. So he, backs up my program that I do, and it is a slower process for acquiring language, but it's tapping into that area where the language is in the brain. Yes, he has come. Now he's very musically talented. He picks up the saxophone where he really doesn't even have to be taught. He plays by ear.
Yes.
His area was more, playing in front of people and really building on that natural talent of playing by ear, because we do have a lot of children that have that ability to play by ear that struggle with note reading or struggle with the traditional style of learning. So that's why what's nice about the academy, we have a variety of teachers where if one child has such a strong ear, they're going to depend on that more than reading notes. So Willie, who you met when you came out, he works on a lot of those. He learns the same way. He plays all by ear. So he'll work with some of the kids that have that natural ability. Now with that child, for instance, we were working on also playing in front of people. And with a lot of kids, they have the social anxiety issues. So, what's fun about it is we step outside the box. So what we did with him is we took him to one of the places where Willie performs professionally, and had him see his teacher up on stage. Then we invited him up on stage during a rehearsal.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, and it really, and then he didn't want to leave. He thought the show was for him. But just those little things that, and that really broke the ice for him. Now, we do SEPTA presentations. Frankie comes with us, and he plays for the whole audience. So it's not just, our academy's not just helping them learn to play the instrument. We try to work on all the different areas, even if it's a social anxiety issues in playing in front of people. We'll do what we have to do to break that ice, with the child.
Yeah.